Welcome back. Before we get into the video, this is on my 10 worst products, the 10 worst guitars, amps, and effects that I ever bought. Um, you all made comments, so I'm gonna make some comments back to your comments, but I'm not gonna go into serious in depth about anything in particular. I just thought some of it was actually pretty damn funny. You get into that situation to where a lot of people don't even watch the video. They just make random comments thinking they know what you're saying and they have no idea. And that's just, come on, guys. If you're going to make a comment, at least watch the damn video before you make a comment. And it was obvious a lot of people did not watch the video from the comments they made. But before I get into that, getting ready to take off. We're heading to Daytona for Bike Week. Actually, we're leaving today at 4:30. We're riding the motorcycle down. And so hopefully when I'm down there, I'm going to get a chance to go into a few guitar stores because I like going to other cities and see what they have different from the city I live in. Now, unfortunately, there's, you got the big guitar stores like Guitar Center, and they carry a lot of the same crap everywhere you go. But, I live very close to Nashville, Tennessee. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. And you would think being this close to Nashville, you could literally buy any guitar you wanted here just by walking into a store, which is obviously not the case. I mean, you can buy any guitar you want here, as long as it is a Fender or a Les Paul. You can buy anything you want. But if you want anything else, good luck finding it. So a lot of times when I do get guitars, if I don't order it, a lot of times I have to go to Nashville just to see what I can find. It's really odd what's going on, being that we're so close to Knoxville. So hopefully when I get down to Daytona, down there in Florida, we're going to be able to find a couple of good guitar stores. And if so, then I'm going to shoot some video when we're in there, if I can find them. I'm not going to go into some just random guitar store. Oh, look what they got. If they have something that's interesting, then I'm just going to shoot some video while I have my phone with me and I'll post it up, a day in the life in Bike Week type of thing. So we'll see what happens when we get down there. And another thing I wanted to say before we got into the comment section of this is, I just want to talk real quickly why I set this channel up. All right. Because and it has a lot to do with the video that I put up, the 10 worst and the 10 best. But the reason I got this started, somebody said something to me a while back, and they're like, dude, I said something, I don't know what it was. And he's like, if you're going to be an influencer, and dude, that cringed all over me. And I hate using the word cringe, but it was very cringy because I don't consider myself an influencer. That's not why I built this. I'm not here to influence anybody. If I say something and it helps you, great. If I say something and it doesn't help you, well, great. That's just how it is. I'm not a YouTuber, even though I have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel because, I've got a fair amount of knowledge about music and, especially gear, because I am a gearhead. That's what I am. I'm like that on everything. I can tell you probably anything you want to know about a motorcycle. I'm just, when I get into something, I get into the technical aspects of it. I know a lot about guitars. And guitars more than anything else, but I know a lot about pianos and keyboards and stuff because that's what I'm into. That's what I do. And the reason I set this up is because years ago, this guy did a video. I'm not going to call anybody out because I simply don't care, about a guitar. And this was before I had my YouTube channel. And so I asked him a question. He never responded. So a couple of weeks went by and I asked him the question again, thinking, well, maybe he just didn't get the question. He never responded. And I thought, what's the point? If you got a YouTube channel and you're not going to respond to the people watching your videos, then why would I watch your videos? So, and I hate to say it because it's going to sound kind of dickish, but I unsubscribed from that guy's channel because, that's why I watched it, for information. And if you're not going to give me the information, then why the hell am I going to watch it? So probably a couple more months went by and another guy, he had this just amazing guitar tone, this effect that he'd set up. And I was like, oh man, God, how did he do that? So I sent a thing. I was like, dude, how did you get that particular sound? He never responded. And so a couple of weeks went by. Again, he never responded. All right, unsubscribe. I unsubscribed from his channel also. And like I said, not to be dickish, but if you're going to have a YouTube channel and put information out there, at least answer the questions when people ask questions. And that's literally why I started this. I thought, I'm going to set up a YouTube channel to where people ask me a question, I will freaking answer. And I try to answer all questions. Sometimes they get by because sometimes there's a lot. And if they do, I apologize. But, if you've been a subscriber of mine, I answer probably 99% of everything I get because I have information that I want to share. And on the flip side, you all have information you share back with me. I've learned so much from the people who watch my videos. It's funny. People just give me random facts about a guitar. I'm talking, hey, did you know? Hell, I had no idea. And I thought I knew everything about it, and I had no idea. And it's just really cool. And that's why I set this up, to be kind of a place where I can share information and you all can share information back. And it's kind of one of those, what I would hope for this to grow into at one point is, let's say you've got some great musical idea. You put it on video, but you don't have a YouTube channel and you don't want one. Shit, send me the video. I will gladly put it on my channel. And hey, this is so-and-so, so-and-so. Send me this clip of da-da-da. Check it out. I would gladly do that. And that's why I set this up. I'm not a YouTuber. This is my channel, blah, 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 blah. It's not why I set this up. I did this so I would have a place to talk and bullshit with everybody. And then, a lot of the subscribers will talk and bullshit back. And a lot of them do. I've got subscribers that, man, we've been carrying on for years back and forth. They ask questions, I give answers. Sometimes I ask questions, they give answers, and it's just really cool. And that's why I set this up. So I just kind of wanted to get that off my chest, simply because of the comments that people made on my 10 worst, which is, some of it was just baffling. So this is all getting to a point. So that's why I set this up. And, and if you got a negative comment, leave it. Don't, and I think I mentioned this in the last video. This guy's like, dude, I don't mean to be a dick. I'm like, dude, be a dick. That's okay. It's your God-given right. Be as big as an asshole as you want to be. I'm cool with that because I'm kind of an asshole myself. So I'm cool with that. So on to the comments section of the... So one thing I have learned, and this is why I did this video, believe it or not. This was not clickbait, because these are, and a lot of people said, oh, this is just clickbait. These are my opinions on the 10 worst pieces of gear I've had. How people consider that clickbait is beyond, I don't know. I don't get it. People are weird. I just don't understand people sometimes. People are just weird. And so, but I watched a while back, and I don't know how long, just a while back, and this guy did his 5 worst amps. And I watched the video, and it had, I don't know, some insane amount of views. But I also noticed, because a lot of times when I watch somebody's video, if I think it's a good video, they did a good job, a lot of times I will go to their channel to see if I want to subscribe. Because I'm just not going to subscribe to everybody. But I noticed he did his 5 favorite amps. And what I noticed was the 5 worst amps had 100,000 more views than his 5 favorite amps. And I thought, why would people just want to see the bad side? And I'm not saying what he did was bad. It's kind of hard to explain that. But, they want to see the negativity part, even though he wasn't being negative. Those were his opinions on his amps. But, these suck. That's the part I want to see. I want to see what sucks. I don't want to see what's great. And I thought, that's very odd that people do that. So lo and behold, I came across another guy's channel. And he did the same thing, but he did his on guitars, the worst guitars he's had. And it had, a bazillion views. Then he did the best guitars he had, and it had hardly no views. And I was like, all right, so apparently people just want to hear about things that suck. They don't want to hear about things that make them feel good. They don't want to hear about things that are like, oh, dude, that is awesome. Man, so thank God I found that. They just want to hear about things that suck. That is baffling to me. So I had this idea about the 10 worst. I've had this idea for a while, but it's just kind of one of those, if you have a YouTube channel, you know what I'm talking about. You get ideas and they just kind of sit back there forever. They float back there until you finally get around and say, okay, now it's time to do this video. For instance, I'm doing a video we're going to do on piano. That is right. We're doing piano, Moonlight Sonata, how to play Moonlight Sonata. I've been wanting to do this for years. I've never done it because chances are probably not many people are going to watch it, but that's okay. This is something I want to do because when I teach piano, my new students, Moonlight Sonata is an intermediate piece. I teach my brand new students Moonlight Sonata because A, it keeps them engaged. Beautiful song, a little bit of culture in their life, keeps them engaged. They're going to learn so much from playing this hard piece. Now, it's going to take us much longer to get through it as it would an intermediate student. But the students that I teach Moonlight Sonata fall in love with that song, and it introduces them into something they've never heard before, some beautiful classical, and they learn so much. They learn about chords, about inversions, about arpeggiating, about sharps, double sharps. They learn so much by me teaching new students this song. So after about your second lesson of piano, we break into Moonlight Sonata, and I tell them all, this is going to be very hard. It's going to be very difficult. If you make it through to the end of the song, you'll be a piano player. So, like I said, nobody's probably going to watch it, but I'm okay with that. I'm going to do it anyway, and it's going to span over multiple videos. That's why I do this channel, just so I can share what I do know. And I don't know everything, but I do know a bit. So there it is. But I saw the guy do the one on guitars. He did his 5 worst, whatever it was, and it had a bazillion views. Then he did his 5 best. Nobody watched it. And I thought, my God, man, people just want to see the crappy stuff, the crappy side of all of it. So I finally got around to doing my 10 worst. Now, I'm not going to go into all the comments because there was a ton of comments. A lot of them were shockingly stupid. Some of them were absolutely pointless, and some of them were very good. Some people called me out and said, dude, you're an idiot because you should have done A, B, C, D, F, G. And I thought, well, I didn't think about that, so maybe I was an idiot. Didn't think about that. So anyway, so let me clarify. My 10 worst were the 10 worst for me. I never said once in the video that these were the 10 worst ever made. These were the 10 worst for everybody. These were the 10 worst in the world. I never said that. And if you read the title, here's the first kicker, people. The 10 worst guitars and amps and effects I have ever owned. Not you have ever owned. I have ever owned. So I'm going to start with some of the obvious ones here, which I just thought were absolutely hilarious. One guy put a series of mistakes. Ignorant comment. So I buy a Suhr that has a bad fret and the neck cracks, and that's a series of mistakes. Okay, whatever. And that's all I'm going to say about that one, because I think that was the dumbest comment out of all of them. It kind of surprised me that what people commented on, what people did not comment on. I did have one guy that commented on the Suhr, and he had a Suhr, and he said, dude, same thing happened to me. It was a shit guitar. I paid a ton of money for it, and it was terrible. And I said, I know, right? I bought the Suhr thinking it was going to be one of the greatest guitars I've ever owned, and it absolutely ended up being one of the worst guitars I've ever owned. Suhr makes a great guitar, but the one I bought was crap. It's that simple. It was junk. And so the Ibanez Jiva, I had a few people comment on that. A lot of people did say, yeah, it was a crappy guitar. One guy said that he's got several, and they're literally the best guitars he's ever owned. I find that shockingly hard to believe. I'm not going to call it out, but one of my friends who works at a very big guitar store said that the Jiva in either 2021 or 2022 was the most returned guitar they've ever had, ever. That everyone they sent out was just shit. And it was shit. That Jiva was a terrible guitar. And I hate saying that because if you watch my channel, I'm a huge Ibanez fan. I love Ibanez guitars. And it's pretty much got to the point where that's my staple guitar now. And I still play my 96 Wolfgang because that guitar is it's a 96 Wolfgang. If that may mean nothing to you, but to me, that's like playing, a 67 Les Paul. Even if that's a damn thing. I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't really get into the really, really, really old guitars. Just a personal thing. But it's my 96, and the guitar is just absolutely phenomenal. So I will always play that guitar. But I hate saying that about the Jiva because I did, I really wanted to love that guitar. It just ended up that it was total crap. The guitar was complete crap. It's not made out of good wood. The frets were the shoddiest frets I've ever felt on a guitar. Ever. And I'm going to say it again. I sent that one back and got a replacement. It was equally as bad. And I sent the second one back and got the third one, and it was equally as bad. Now, do I have regrets about it? No, because that is what ended up being my 1070 PBZ, which is the guitar that completely shifted my mind on Ibanez because those Jivas were my first ones. And I was like, okay, if this is Ibanez guitars, they're all shit. And then the 1070 kind of grew from there, and now I'm a diehard Ibanez fan. Absolutely love Ibanez guitars. So the Jiva, yeah, it just wasn't a good guitar. I'm sorry. Agree, disagree. I don't care. It simply was not a good guitar. And there was one at the Guitar Center where I live here in Knoxville. It was several months ago, and I thought, you know what? I just want to see. So I took it off the wall, and it was shit. It was a terrible freaking guitar. And I don't want to spend $1,600 on a guitar, then have to turn right around and have a complete fret dressing done on it and have all the frets leveled, because that's what you have to do with the Jiva. Or that's what I had to do with the 3 I bought and the 4th one that I played. So moving on from the Jiva, now I'm going to get to one of the big topics, the Metal Zone. This was hilarious, man. And I just want to say thanks to all the comments, the good ones and the bad ones. All the people who called me an idiot, absolutely fine. I appreciate that too. That's your opinion, and You know what? I'm an idiot. What can I say? But, and I don't know if I clarified it in the video. Now, after all the hate comments came through, which were a blast, by the way, and I tried to answer as many as I could, but they were coming across so fast, it was so hard. After all that settled down, then the normal comments started coming in. Hey, dude, did you try ABCDFG? Instead of people say, oh, you're just a dumbass and you don't know what you're doing. You know, ignorant comments. And, and that's a comment I never leave for anybody. You know, even if I 100% disagree with them, I don't say, well, you're just an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. And I got a lot of those. And it's pretty funny. One guy sent me this comment. I mean, just blew me up, dude. Just went off on me. And so I clicked his channel. And, of course, he had a channel for 17 years with no videos. And so I replied back. I said, oh, so the guy who's had a channel for 17 years with 4 subscribers who has no videos is going to preach to me about guitar playing? All right. Back up what you're saying first, then preach to me about guitar playing. That was great. Oh, that was awesome. But anyway, after all the ignorant comments, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to set it up. No, I do know what I'm doing. One guy said, well, you just don't understand signal chain. No, I completely understand signal chain. I literally run sound for our band at our church. I do all the sound. I do all the equipment. I set up the stage. I do all that. I completely understand signal chain. I did sound for years. Where I live, we have this place called Pigeon Forge, and a lot of the older bands come through here. The Temptations had a review up there. I did sound for the Temptations for a year in Pigeon Forge. I understand signal chain. I understand sound pretty damn well. And I'm going to say better than 98% of the people in this world. I'm going to say that now because that's literally what I do. And so anyway, and I don't know if I clarified. When I bought the Metal Zone, I was looking for something to put in front of the amp. I wanted a boost, all right? I wanted to try the Metal Zone. I'd been trying multiple distortion pedals, and I really didn't like a whole lot of them. And, and of course, just being me, how I am, I was trying all the fancy distortion pedals first, and I should have just went simple and kept it simple, which ended up being the best route, which generally ends up being the best route. But I tried a Metal Zone, and I put it in front of the amp, and no matter how I set it, it sounded terrible. It sounded terrible. Now, I'm not saying, and nor did I say, the Metal Zone was the worst distortion pedal ever made. It's the worst distortion pedal I've ever had. I simply did not like it. Now, I do know, and I did not run it through post. I didn't run it post. I did not want it post. I wanted something to push the front of the amp. All right? Huge difference there. Huge difference. For everybody who told me I didn't know what I was doing because I didn't put it post, I didn't want it post. All right? And I think I said in the video, I wanted something to push the front of the amp. Putting a distortion pedal post, which, by the way, is not correct signal chain, just so you know. Putting a distortion pedal post does not push the front of the amp. And a lot of people put distortion pedals in front of the amps to push the front of the amp, and that's what I wanted. And it didn't matter how I set it, I could not get it to push correctly. Now, before we get off on the whole signal chain and people start commenting on about that, there are rules to signal chain, but all those rules are made to be broken. You could virtually run a signal chain however the hell you want. That sounds good. I have seen guys with pedal boards with the weirdest setups. I'm like, why the hell would you be running it in that order? It doesn't make sense, but it works for them. Fantastic. There's no dead set rule. Well, all modulation effects must be pre, because that is one of the rules. Generally, you run modulation effects pre, you run ambient effects post. That's generally how it works. But there's always little parts of the equation that you can move in that theory. So, but that's why I didn't like the Metal Zone. And for me, it was one of the worst distortion pedals I ever had. Now, I wasn't saying, hey, this is the worst distortion pedal ever. You shouldn't buy it, and if you buy it, you're an idiot. My point was, if you're buying a Metal Zone to run pre, it simply doesn't work. Now, I'm sure somebody got it to work for the tone they like, but for me, it just simply didn't work. I'm sure it's a great pedal. I'm sure a lot of people rock their ass off. A lot of people send me the video, check out Ola. He'll show you how to use it. No, Ola won't show me how to use it because Ola's using it for a completely different sound than I am. All right? I don't care if Ola had it dialed in so well that it was the greatest tone in the world. If it's not the tone that I'm looking for, then what's the point? And which, by the way, I love Olo's channel. I think his channel's funny as shit, man. He's got a great channel. And honestly, I think he's probably got one of the best music channels out there because he just doesn't do the grind. This is a lesson. This is a lesson. This is this. He's kind of all over the place, and I dig that about Olo's channel. Very cool. Very cool. And I'm not knocking Ola by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not knocking Ola, man. I think the dude's got an awesome freaking channel, but because it works for him does not mean it works for me. All right. And it's pretty much that clear. The Mesa Boogie triple rectifier, this one floored me, and apparently nobody watched the video or the segment on this. Dude, you can't get a Marshall sound out of a Mesa Boogie. No shit. No shit. Had you watched the video, you would know I wasn't trying to get a Marshall sound out of a Mesa Boogie. But you didn't watch the video, you just made comments anyway. And if you want to make a comment, that's fine. That's not fine. And this is not I'm not bitching about this. You know, y'all made comments that hurt my feelings. First off, you can't hurt my feelings. You know, I think I mentioned it. One girl said she wanted to punch me in my arrogant face. And I had one guy said he wanted to kill me and eat my children. I mean, who says shit like that? On a music YouTube channel, who says shit like that? But that's how people are. That's how people are. And one thing I've learned, you got to have tough skin to have a YouTube channel. Now, luckily, my skin's pretty tough. I don't get offended. You can't hurt my feelings. You can say whatever you want to say. I don't give a shit. But people say the oddest things, don't they? The oddest things. So anyway, the thing with the Mesa Boogie is, you know, and if you had watched the video before making a boneheaded comment, and yes, I'm calling all you boneheads out who made a comment who did not watch the video, I literally said I had ordered a crank, Revolution. It came in broke, and I had a show in 3 days, and I had to buy a replacement amp. And all they had was a Mesa Boogie on the floor. That was a full stack. And one comment on that, one dude put, dude, what decade do you live in? You run a full stack? Yes, I ran a full stack. We used to play on some pretty decent-sized stages, but I didn't stack them all on top to bottom, boneheads. I put one speaker on one side, one speaker on the other side. I still see a lot of bands that do that today. I don't know. That was just kind of a buzz. You know, you're not good enough to play a full stack? I don't know what you're saying to me. What kind of question was that? Anyway, regardless of that stupid shit. I had bought the Mesa Boogie because I was in a bind. I had to have an amp because we had a show coming up that Friday at a pretty decent-sized damn venue, and I had to have an amp. And I knew it wasn't going to be the amp that I needed. I knew it wasn't the amp that I wanted. It was the amp I could, you know, living in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's very odd, like I said. You know, it's shockingly hard to get good gear here unless you drive over to Nashville, and I didn't have time to do that. So I bought the Mesa Boogie. I knew it wasn't the tone I was after. I knew it was never going to be the tone I was after. But the shocking thing is how bad the tone actually was. Now, I will admit, I have an ear for my sound, and I'm looking for my sound. And when I had all my stuff, my rack set up for my sound running through the Mesa, it just didn't sound right. But the caveat was, even the people in my band who were also used to my tone said, dude, that's horrible. That's a horrible sound. A, it doesn't mix what we're playing. B, it sounds nothing like you. And it didn't. It sounded nothing like me in my sound, my particular sound that I've used for years. And so it's, I never said, you know, Mesa Boogie makes great amps. I love Mesa Boogie products. If you watch my 10 best, one of my favorite amps ever was my Mesa Boogie Stereo 5050. Fantastic. I would love to have a Mesa Road King too. The combo, I would love to have that, but I don't want to lug a 1,900-pound combo around. I just don't want to do it. That's why I don't own one. Amazing amps. But for what I was doing, that just, and still today, even for my sound, that Mesa Boogie would not work. And it's just, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but one guy I was talking about the dual rectifiers, dude, they're the same exact amps as the triple rectifiers. No, they're not. No, they're not. Not even close. Can't believe somebody even made that statement to me. Because you can get the Mesa Boogie dual rectifiers and the different revisions even sound different. You simply cannot make such a blanket statement that the triple rectifier is exactly the same as the dual rectifier and they sound exactly the same. To me, they do not sound exactly the same. And I have played literally different revisions of the Mesa Boogie. And don't hold me to this. I played a revision F against a revision C. Dude, the difference was staggering of the dual rectifier, the same amp. So That was the deal with the Mesa Boogie, all right? I wasn't trying to get a Marshall tone. So everybody said, I can't believe you bought a Mesa trying to get a Marshall tone. Watch the video, then make a comment. And that's why I'm doing this. Clearing the air from boneheads. I didn't really get a whole lot of comments on the H&K Tubemeister. I guess I didn't mention Deluxe 40, but it's not the Tubemeister, it's the Grandmeister. That was my fault. A lot of people did correct me on that. I was calling it a Tubemeister, but I figured Deluxe 40 would kind of, lead it over the edge. But it was the Grandmeister, and yeah, that was, I do like H&K amps. That's not a good amp, and I'm sorry, it's just not a good amp. Now, the Line 6 Helix, this one was a lot of fun. I had one guy, you lost me at Helix. Go cry somewhere else. You didn't even watch the damn video. You just come out and made a damn statement without even seeing what I said on the back side. Because I could have said it was the worst piece of gear, but now the Helix is the greatest piece of gear ever in the entire world, and I don't know how anybody can live without it. And then all the fanboys would have been ecstatic. Hey, he loves Helix. I still think it's shit. I'm sorry. It's better than it was. It is. I've played the new ones with, all the updates and new IRs. It's better than it was. It's still not as good as a Fractal. I will argue that point any day, any week to anybody. It's still not as good as a Kemper. I will argue that point any day, any week to anybody. And if you go back and look at all the comments, they're probably about split. Half the people said, yeah, dude, I had one and it was shit. And the other guys say it's the greatest piece of gear they've ever owned. Okay, that's cool. I'm glad it's the greatest piece of gear you've ever owned. That's fantastic. And if you buy a Helix, even for me, I think it's horrible. But if you buy it and love it, that's fantastic, because if that gives you inspiration to play, that's all that matters at the end of the day, is that you're playing. It doesn't matter that I hate it and you love it, or you hate it and I love it. That's completely irrelevant. Sound is incredibly subjective, and what's going to sound great to me, it may not sound great to you, and vice versa. I happen to have my own tone that I like, that I've been using forever and a day, and every time I tried to dial it in on the Helix, it just sounded very digitally and very, very grindy. I could never smooth the tone out on the Helix. And I could do it on the Kemper, and I can do it on the Fractal. I could never smooth it out on the Helix, no matter how much I tried. Now, granted, like I said, I've played the newer versions, and they are better with the updates. But they're still not as good as the Fractal, and they're still not as good as a Kemper. And there again, I will argue that point every day of the year. I will argue that point. So I got a lot of comments from the fanboys on the Helix, and I got to be honest, I'm really not much of a fanboy. I really don't give a shit what the gear is, as long as the gear works and it works for me. I don't care. I do love my Ibanez guitars. My J Custom is, probably the best guitar I've ever owned in my life. Seriously, I'm gonna do a video on that coming up, another one. But you know what? I mean, I ran amps for years, and then I bought a Kemper, and I loved it. Then I liked the effects better on the Fractal. I bought the Fractal. I don't give a shit. It's a tool. It's simply a tool. So if your fanboydom gets you upset that I talk poorly about a specific piece of gear you have, then you got bigger problems, my friend, than me talking poorly about that piece of gear that you have, all right? If that upsets you that bad, I don't know. You got much bigger problems than my video. You might want to look into that shit and get some therapy. I got to be honest. Moving on. The Shure GLX 16 had a few comments about that. Best piece of gear I ever had, this, that, the other. Great. Mine was dog shit. Broke within 3 months. And here's the irony of it. My bass player in my new band watched my video. And then the week after he watched my video, came over. Guess what kind of wireless he has? A GLX 16. And guess what happened? It broke. I thought that was hilarious, man. I just started laughing. And he's like, dude, right after I watched that damn video, mine breaks. And I was like, they're not good. The GLX is not good. Shure makes amazing gear, but they do make some bottom line gear. And the bottom line gear, if anything, is generally not that good. So why people got pissed off about the GLX is beyond me. I mean, mine broke 3 months, dead in the freaking water. And so I cashed it in. I went up a tier of, you have different levels of professional gear. You do. And I went up to, I'm not the very top tier professional. I'm the one tier below it, because that's really all I need. And dude, it's been flawless. I mean, flawless. Now it cost a bit more. It was double the price of this GLX, but it has been amazing piece of gear. And I've never did a video on it. I need to do a video on it, because it is just stunning how good this thing is. And I mean, I've never had a dropout. It's never shut down on me. It has never let me down. I love Shure gear. I just happen to think the GLX is crap. I just think it's crap. Nobody really said anything about the Rocktron Piranha. Going to move on from that. Had a lot of comments on the G system. Now this one was interesting to me. A lot of people who had them said, dude, I have zero noise out of mine. Absolutely none. And I'm like, that's just baffling to me because mine was just an aluminum chassis of noise. That's all it was. And like I said, I know people who had them when I had them, and theirs was an aluminum chassis of noise. That's all it was. And because I'd even talk to them like, dude, can you quiet this thing down? They're like, no, dude, this thing's noisy as shit, you know? And a few of the guys one of the guys that I know him who just happens to be an amazing guitar player. I mean, amazing guitar player. He ended up taking his out of his signal chain because of the noise. He's like, it's just too damn noisy. So I found that to be very interesting that a lot of people got zero noise out of it. And then I know so many people who got a lot of noise, and a lot of people commented, dude, mine was just noisy as hell. So I find it to be very interesting because TC Electronics makes amazing, amazing gear. I love TC Electronics, but for some reason that G system, and like I said, I don't know if it was a patch, an update, or something they changed in future systems, but the one that I had was noisy as hell. And I couldn't get the noise out. As soon as you turned it on, the noise came. So I'm not exactly sure what caused that. So I ended up getting rid of mine for the obvious reason, you know, because it was too damn noisy. The effects were pretty good, but they weren't great. And let's be honest, the effects that TC has out now are much better than what they were in the G system. So I just kind of wanted to touch on some of these things and explain a few things here because I just thought it was absolutely hilarious. And like I said, I set this channel up, and this is for this reason. These were my experiences with this gear, all right? Good or bad, doesn't matter. These were my experiences. And, you know, maybe somebody's going to watch it and say, you know, I really wanted that, but after watching this video, you know, maybe it's not for me. Or maybe they're going to think, well, hell, this guy's just a complete idiot, doesn't know what he's doing. I'm going to get one anyway and give it a shot. Fantastic. Go for it. Knock it down, man. Do what you got to do. But these were just the pieces of gear that didn't work for me. And I clearly said that in the title. The worst pieces of gear that I have ever owned, not that you have ever owned. And so, and I guess I did this because I got so many comments and it was so obvious people didn't watch the videos. They were just making boneheaded, stupid comments. And you know what? At least watch the video. If you're going to argue with me, at least have some ground to stand on. You just can't say you lost me at Helix. You know, go to your safe space and cry some, all right? You know, and like I said, if you're that much of a fanboy that you get offended by what I say, then you got much bigger life problems, bro, than me and my videos. Much bigger life problems. I don't get offended. I don't really give a shit what anybody says. I will comment, and I say this again, you know, good or bad, I'm going to comment. I wanted to do this video because there were so many comments, I couldn't get to them. They were coming across so fast, I couldn't get to them. The last point I wanted to make about this, though, is the reason, like I said, the reason I set up this channel is because I wanted to share what I know, and I want people to share things back with me. You know, like I said, if you got a video, but you don't want a YouTube channel and deal with the headache, hell, send it to me. I'll put it on my channel. Send me your information, what it is. I will type that shit up, put it up on my channel for everybody to see, or as many people as I've got subscribed. I got to be honest, I don't know. Although I do know, and I'm going to say this, damn it, it's horrible. 4.1%, 4.9% of the people who watch my videos are subscribed. 4.1. Absolutely horrible. 4.1. That is absolutely terrible. So subscribe if you're going to watch the channel, or if you want to watch me bitch and complain some more, which is also a lot of fun. But that's why I set this up. So I set it up because I wanted to share ideas, you know, back and forth. And that was my whole intent of this behind, because, you know, like I said, I watched those guys' channels. I kept asking them questions. They would not reply. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to set a channel up, and I'm not going to do that. If you ask me a question, I'm going to reply. And if I don't know the answer, then I'll try to find it. Or I'll just say, dude, God, you got me. Bro, I'm stumped. I don't know. And these were my experiences on the 10 pieces of worst gear. Now, like I said, I find it absolutely funny that people just want to watch the shitty videos, because I did the 10 best pieces of gear, and it's got 500 views. And this video got 30,000 views in 24 hours. And the other one's been out, 2 weeks, and it's got 500 views total, I believe. That's puzzling to me. And the reason it's puzzling to me is because when I'm watching YouTube videos, I never search out the worst gear. Never. You know, if you got a video that says this is the best 10 guitars I've ever had and the 10 worst guitars I've ever had, I'll probably skim through the 10 worst, but I will definitely watch the 10 best, because I don't care why they're the worst guitars for you. I could care less because I'm not you. You're not me. Just because it doesn't work for you does not mean it's not going to work for me. Now, if you've got a valid opinion, like on the Jiva, it's shit, then I'm going to watch it and then I'm going to say, oh, I need to check that out and, see for myself. But I have a tendency to watch the gear reviews where people say this is the greatest piece of gear I've ever had, as opposed to this is the worst piece of gear I've ever had. But I just find it funny that most people on YouTube are the exact opposite. They want to watch the worst you've ever had, not the best you've ever had. And I don't know, I find that fascinating. I absolutely find that fascinating. I don't know if it's indicative of the world we live in and people are just generally negative. I have no idea. I just find that fascinating. And, and I guarantee you, if I did a video, the greatest piece of music ever written, nobody would watch it. But if I did the shittiest piece of music ever written, it'd get 1 million views. And I find that fascinating. Because I have a tendency to look out to the other side. And it seems like most people on YouTube like the negative aspect of things. And I just find that amazing. I don't know. Very interesting. I need to research that out some more. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. I just want to talk about that real quick, get some of this stuff out there. Why I did the channel, on with some comments on the comments, because it's just too damn many to answer like this. So I'm going to say it real quick. Please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share the video, whatever you got to do. Things to help the channel. Let's do that. Things to help the video and the channel. And these are my comments to your comments. This is why I set up this channel. If you do have any comments or questions, please leave it down in the comment section. And as usual, as always, I will answer, except on this one particular video, because I just got flooded with shit. I mean, absolutely flooded. So I'm going to wrap this video up right there. I'm on my way to Daytona. If I do see something very cool down there, I will pull out the old phone, shoot some video, and I will post it up. And we're going to be down there for Bike Week. Or hell, if I just see some cool shit going on for Bike Week, I'll probably just post it on my music channel so everybody can see what the hell I'm doing that week. You probably don't care, but what the hell? It's my channel. Put on what I want. Damn it. So until then, no matter what you do, for the love of God, rock on.